Hello and welcome back to BMA 258 Services Marketing. So this week we're going to be dealing with two chapters. The first one is chapter 11, Managing the Customer Service Function. So the learning objectives for this part are first of all to describe the changing nature of the customer service function. Second, demonstrate an understanding of the trade-off between achieving customer satisfaction and optimal efficiency. Number 3, explain how service firms translate customer expectations and its behaviours into actions. Number 4, explain how technology is leveraging customer service. And last of all, list the 5 key factors considered when designing an effective customer service organisation. So let's start off now by looking at what is customer service. And essentially customer service is about being efficient and friendly, and that friendliness is about empathy and caring for people. Now, let's click on to the next slide. So Lovelock defines customer service as involves task-oriented activities that involve interactions with customers in a person or by technology for the purpose of the service manufacture, delivery, and service support. So it's kind of what we do when we do service organisations. We part of the manufacture, the service that we provide is the customer service, right? So this function should be designed, performed, and communicated with 2 goals in mind. First of all, is customer satisfaction and the associated benefits or factors that align with that, such as loyalty and profit, stuff like that. But customer satisfaction and then operational efficiency. So you can have too much customer service where you over-service your customers, it becomes too expensive and it's not efficient, or you can be super efficient where you kind of not delivering customer service as well. So it's about balancing those two things. So customer service and the flower of service models. We've talked about this model before, but we're going to try and integrate these two concepts together. So customer service is basically an umbrella term for delivering the various types of supplementary services that surround the core product, like the petals of a flower. Right, I'm going to skip forward a slide here, and this is Lovelock's flower service model. So we're going to come back to that. So the range of jobs that falls under the customer service umbrella is quite broad, and customer service involves people, like different types of people who are accessible at the times and places convenient to the customer, provide information and technical advice in their capacity as members of the sales support staff, and actual technical advice. So the competency of our customer service staff has a big impact on the relationship we can build with our customers and the relationship satisfaction as well, which is a little bit different than customer satisfaction, because customer satisfaction is satisfied with the overall experience, whereas relationship satisfaction is the satisfaction that the customer has with the relationship with that organisation, which are related concepts but are different. Take orders and reservations over the phone and pass them along to those responsible for order fulfilment, so it's capturing that demand. Communicate with customers after receiving orders or reservations to provide information on availability, advise on shipping dates or reservation details, confirm shipment or trace missing orders. To greet customers on arrival at the service facility after refreshment and attend to other needs, that welcome greeting, that emotional labour type work, and many more. So that's just some of them. So customer service is quite a broad concept that employs that the ideas about how we go about delivering our services. All right, so here we've got the customer service and the flower of service model. So for information such as a tourist office representative consultation, such as a hotel concierge, order taking for like car rentals or hospitalities, flight attendants. So all these people here are examples of jobs of people that do customer service and fulfilling these supplementary roles of the Lovelock's flower service model. Safekeeping, so parking attendants, exceptions, so like hotline engineer, so when you ring up for your internet and something's gone wrong, the people that sort that stuff out. Billing, restaurant server, and then payments such as the cashiers or the checkout staff at the retail outlets and stuff like that. So as you can see, each petal has a variety of different roles that can actually engage in those customer service functions. So improving customer service in response to competitive pressure. So as businesses in general and the service sector in particular, as they become more competitive, the need for a firm to differentiate itself from competitors becomes more and more important, and have to sharpen their focus, right? So that's their positioning in the market. So the differentiation includes a search for superior performance, not only for the core product, but also for each of the supplementary service elements. And remember, it's not the core product how we generally differentiate ourselves, it's through these supplementary services as well. So achieving such differentiation requires formalising and integrating customer service activities into a professionally managed function. So let's look at the difference between the standardisation of service behaviours and actions and freestyling it. So converting customer expectations into specific service quality standards or key performance indicators, KPIs, depends on the degree to which the tasks and behaviours to be performed can be standardised or routine, so made like into a system. For non-professional services, such as retailing, retail banking, hairdressing, hotels, airlines, many services tasks are quite routine. While employees may welcome knowing how to perform actions most efficiently, it frees them to engage in the more personal and individual aspects of the service. So then it's not actually, it's like when you think about retail banking, it's not actually the idea of taking their money and exchanging it or depositing in the bank, but where they get the value out of it through that interaction with the, how was your day, all that customer service function stuff, where you make the customer feel pleasant. In services, if services are customised for individual customers, such as an investment portfolio management or personal fitness plan, specific standards such as those relating to the time spent with the customer may not be appropriate, because indeed the value which they're getting from that then is the customisation, and to customise things for customers takes time. So efficiency gets moved across more there, because it's not so much about the efficiency anymore, it's more about customisation and spending that time, and therefore customer service function is going to be more important than efficiency. Even in highly customised services, however, many aspects of service provision can still be routinized, like made into a routine. And the key idea then is to work out what's the value, so what does customer value the most, and the more functional parts of it, try and make them into a routine or standardise those, and indeed our blueprints could help with that too, because our blueprints are basically designing our service and trying to get a consistent routine where we can go through with enough flair in there, enough design wriggle room, like enough exceptions basically in there that we can still customise it as well. So standardisation of services can take three forms: substitution of technology for personal contact, and improving contact and human effort. Number two, improvement in work methods, and three, combinations of these two methods. So let's look at service targets and goals. So there are specific targets for individual behaviours or actions. For example, consider the behaviour calls the customer back quickly. So the customer rings up, you want to call them back. An action that signals responsiveness in contact, employees. So we're going to set a target then. So how quickly do you expect your staff to call the customers back? So for some service firms, they expect them to call back in 5 minutes. Other ones, like I've had jobs before in supervisory roles where if the customer calls up, leaves you a note, it's fine to call them back the next day. So different roles are going to have different targets and goals. Another type of formal goal setting involves overall department or company target, most frequently expressed as a percentage or across all executions of the behaviour or the action. So these are the key KPIs, the key performance indicators that we're talking about as well. And often phone centres, like the phone call places, I'm trying to remember the name of those, like phone centres, they have these targets as well. So they've got like a list of queues of customers that are waiting to have their calls answered, and they've got key performance indicators or metrics that they're trying to meet to answer those calls within a certain amount of time and reduce the wait time. All right, and we need that because it shows our employees what we care about, like responsiveness, and it motivates our staff to achieve the goals that we're after. All right, so let's have a look at this model here. So here's a telecommunications company example. So they've got here the customer satisfaction index on the left, on the y-axis, from 0, so it means completely dissatisfied, to completely satisfied here. Now, at this X point here, the call's answered in X seconds. So just say that's, I'm just going to pluck it out the air here. Just say that's 60 seconds. So if the call's answered in 60 seconds, customers delight satisfaction by very short hold time. So if you ring up to say Telstra and your call's answered within 60 seconds, like 1 minute, that's actually pretty good. So your customer satisfaction is going to be high. Now, as it goes it goes beyond there. So if that's 60 seconds, just say that's 2 minutes. The current customer service target, 75% answered in there, but you can see customer satisfaction. So as the call time, like the wait time, extends, the customer satisfaction actually starts to deteriorate. And there's a correlation between the seconds before the call's answered, so the longer it takes to answer the call, and the customer satisfaction in that. I'm sure you've all been in situations where you've had to wait for a very long time on a phone call. Like if that's 60 seconds, imagine how long that is. So that's going to be something like 10 minutes on the phone, and you're not very happy at the time after waiting 10 minutes. And the most frustrating thing is when you wait all that time, just say like, you know, ages and ages, and then they drop your call and you got to wait all over again. It's extremely frustrating. So often organisations like this will try and map that out to, to help us form KPIs and meet those expectations. So customer-defined service standards. So anchoring service standards on customers can save money by identifying what the customer values, thus eliminating activities and features that the customer does not actually expect, nor do they notice, nor are they actually willing to pay for. And this sometimes happens when we think it'll be cool adding bells and whistles, like cool extra stuff onto our service. And then by doing that incurs extra costs, but doesn't mean much to the customer. So this is a good way of keeping track of trying to keep things as efficient as possible and go, well, what are the customers, what do they care about the most, and embed that in there. And that way you can get a competitive advantage by delivering what's most valuable. While customer-defined standards need not conflict with productivity and efficiency, they are not set with these company concerns in mind. Rather, they're anchored in and steered by the customer expectations of quality, service quality and satisfaction. The key difference is the service standards aren't set by what we think our customers are expecting. We actually go out there and ask them. So it takes more work, takes marketing research. We've got to get closer to our customers to be able to do this. And if you're a marketing person and it takes effort to get close to your customers. So sometimes it's easier just to dream them up ourselves and think about what we would expect the customers would want, but it's not very accurate. So the service standards that evolve from customer perspective are likely to be different from company-defined service standards. And that's why we've got to try and put the work in to get this going. Right, now we have a table here of the examples of customer-defined service standards. And this is being published in research. It's actually a textbook, but it's got here. So the company in this example is FedEx, which is an American delivery, like they deliver parcels and stuff like that. Now the customer priorities are on time. So therefore they define the customer standards by the right number of packages day late. So if it goes beyond 1 day, that's the wrong number of packages a day late, and then the number of missed pickups. So they'll record that, and then they got the different things. So one is, it's not just, oh, we got it wrong, but it's how did you get it wrong, and how does that relate to what the customer values the most. Dell Computers, so what happens to customers, what they found is on-time delivery is really important to them. Computers work properly, which kind of makes sense, and problems are fixed right the first time. So therefore they got ship to target, which is a metric used to work out how once you buy it, how quick it gets to the people that are buying it. Because Dell does a lot of online transactions, right? Computer works correctly upon delivery, and it's the small thing. So you turn it on, it just works. You don't need to install bloatware, which is like the extra software that sometimes they package with the computers. Just get it working. Missing and wrong and damaged, and all these other things there. Social security, telephone. So the customer priorities are telephone access, and 95% of calls are serviced within 5 minutes. And we can go through all these things, but for different businesses in different markets, customer priorities vary, and therefore the customer-defined standards vary as well. And it's important that we understand that, and the only way we get to know that is by marketing research and getting close to our customers. All right, let's talk about converting customer expectations into specific behaviours and actions. So there's a few steps. So in defining these standards. So the first one is to map each service encounter in the overall service experience, and then conduct research to determine customer expectations for the encounter, and then translate customer expectations into behaviours or actions. And that's quite difficult, because when we ask people what they expect, it's a very difficult language for them to do. So it's usually going to be, this type of research is usually going to be focus groups or very interviews. Because if we do a survey and go, what do you expect? like how do you answer that? It's very difficult. So it takes a fair bit of work to get to that level. And then we translate them to actual behaviours, because we can't really measure expectations that much. It's really what we do and whether that meets expectations. Identify the key source of customer satisfaction, or of course dissatisfaction, and relate them to the current service elements. And then step 3, select behaviours or actions for standards, set the standard service levels or the key KPIs, key performance indicators. Then design jobs and technology systems to meet these standards. Can you see how the designing the jobs then comes after we would work out what our customers want? So we don't have a job and then get that job to try and deliver what customers want. We work out what customers want and we design our jobs to meet their customers. Track and measure performance against standards, which is good for employers because it lets them signals to them what's important for the business and the customers. Provide feedback to employees how they're going, and then periodically revise standards and delivery systems in light of changing customer preferences, technological innovation and competitive activities, because markets change and customers' needs and wants change. All right, now let's look at these levels here. So converting customer expectations to organisational actions and behaviours. So we've got abstract things and concrete things. So on the abstract level, we've got these things such as satisfaction. Now, if we think about it, we've been talking about what satisfaction is, and satisfaction is our ability to meet their expectations. But expectations are difficult to translate into, what is an expectation? It's an abstract, it's an idea, it's a concept. It's not something that's, like tangible. So then, idea of value. Now, we've got different ideas of value, but really the economic idea of value is you've got the costs with the benefits, yeah, and that's what the benefits are minus the cost. That's what the value is. But how do you measure benefits and how do you measure the cost? And we're not just talking about money costs. We're talking about psychological costs. We're talking about effort costs, emotional costs, psychological costs, all these things, right? So these are very general, abstract concepts. And in marketing, we talk a lot about these, but because they're general, right? So the idea of satisfaction applies to all markets in all contexts, really. So it's easy for us to talk about it because it's going to be relevant. But then you need to sort of come down from these abstract things to go, well, what are the dimensions then? And you can see here that these dimensions are reliability, responsiveness, empathy, and for the Switch-On students, you'll see that these dimensions are the dimensions of service quality, or 3 of the 5 anyway. The other ones are still relevant, we just can't list them all in there. And number 3, so then how do we get these dimensions into actual attributes or things that we can measure, or things that we can easily communicate, and then so it delivers on time, calls and answers quickly, courteous and friendly, knows their industry. So these are actually easier for people to comprehend than these abstract concepts. And then the last level is we actually turn these into specific measurable behaviours or actions. So at this level, the concrete level, we should be able to say whether it is yes or no, right? So if it delivers within 1 day, yes, we did, or no, we didn't. 90% of the calls answer within 3 rings. Yes, that is happening, or no, that isn't happening. So it's measurable. And then that's going to help us then linking our concrete activities to these abstract concepts. Because we know we want customer satisfaction, how good it is, but then what do we actually have to do at the concrete level to achieve that? And remember, this is quite difficult to do and it's going to change too. So while the abstract stuff won't change much, the concrete stuff will need to be adapted and adjusted to continually meet these abstract levels. Right, now service culture. Culture within an organisation has been defined as the pattern of shared values, beliefs, and I'm going to add this in there, my own norms, that give the members of an organisation meaning and provide them with the rules for behaviour in the organisation. Culture is often easily sensed. So if you walk into a business, sometimes you can sense the culture straight away. So, but it's hard to go out of there and then describe it to one of your friends what the culture was like. Yeah, it's bad culture in there, but what is it that makes it bad? And it's hard because, I'm going to go back a slide here, the culture happens at this abstract level, but then we communicate at the concrete level. So it's hard to actually translate those abstract concepts into concrete behaviours. If you walk into a business and there's a boss yelling at their employees, that's a rather concrete example. But and you go, well, it's a bad culture because people are yelling and screaming at each other and people aren't happy and things like that. But when you can't see that, you can still sometimes sense it. But but there's no concrete evidence there. But knowledgeable service managers have suggested that a customer-focused, service-orientated organisation will have at its heart a service culture where an appreciation for the good service exists, and where giving good service to internal as well as ultimate external customers is considered a natural way of life and one of the most important norms by everyone. Now, this is easy to say, but culture, I've said this a few times, is led by us as the leaders, and it's natural for us as human beings for the culture to drift away, all right? So it's constantly the role of us as leaders to regenerate and revitalize the culture in our organisation. And we do that through leadership and reinforcing what's valued. And what should be valued is a service, is a state of mind of service. So we're not doing what's best for us as an individual. We're giving away our effort. We're giving away our emotional labour. We're giving away our we're servants. We are servicing our customers to give them benefit at the cost of us, and that's what we get paid for. So there's a natural tendency there for us to get lazy and to go, I don't really feel like working today. But as managers, we need to inspire our staff and create the service culture where that's valued and appreciated. All right, employees and customer service. So employees are often central to effective customer service function. Of course, we've talked about this with the service profit chain. Customer satisfaction and service quality, where the service quality is the radar one, reliability, responsiveness, assurance, empathy, intangibles, can be influenced directly by service employees. So delivering the core service as promised, which is reliability, is often totally within the control of frontline employees. Within variation, there's always things that are beyond our control, but a lot of the time, reliability is something that we can deliver on, right? And it comes back to the culture and the promises that you make within the organisation, the service firm. So when services fail or errors are made, employees are critical to service recovery efforts. And service recovery is basically when the customer doesn't meet their expectations or something goes wrong, how we can get them back on side, fix the problem. Often using their judgment to determine an appropriate course of action, and this is where training comes in. So you don't just train them how to do things when everything's going right. When things do go wrong, how they feel empowered and trained enough to make exceptions and fix the things. Assurance of dimension of quality is highly dependent on employees' ability to communicate their credibility and inspire trust and confidence. And again, that comes with employing the right people and training in the right way. So assurance, and that's the customers will pick that up. If you've got employees that know what they're doing, your customers will feel assured that that they get looked after. Now, empathy is a hard one. It implies that employees will pay attention, listen, adapt, and be flexible in delivering what individual customers need. Organisations that leave this quality dimension to chance are likely to find extreme variation of this dimension across employees and customer experiences. And that's true because empathy is actually a personality thing, right? So some people are just naturally more empathetic than others. And as it turns out, a lot of successful business people aren't really high in empathy. Organisations, jobs such as nurses or counsellors, the jobs that are always helping people, they are often high in empathy, even teachers sometimes. Whereas marketing, it's not everyone wants to go and do marketing because they love helping people, right? But it's an important part of it, and for us to foster that in our staff then, and even in ourselves, that we actually genuinely care about our staff, of course, but also our customers and how they feel and how we relate to them. So it's giving ourselves to customers. We're servicing them, we're servants to their needs. All right, now factors shaping the customer service. So we've got presence or absence of intermediaries, high contact versus low contact, and these to go right back to the beginning of this course or this unit where we're talking about the what is service, the duration of the service delivery process. Some services take a very long time to deliver, others are very quick, and that's going to impact how we design our customer service elements. And capacity constrained services, frequency of use and repurchase, especially when it goes back to customer repurchase intention. And then level of complexity. Some services are easier to deliver on than others. Some are just complex with a lot of moving parts. Yeah, all right. I don't want to get too much into that because that's there's a lot in there, and then this lecture's just going to go on forever. So guidelines for effective program implementation. So this is about your customer service function, right? So recruit the right employees. Super important. Thankfully, we as marketing we often get good HR people to help us with that, and work closely with your HR team because they. HR have got their own objectives to meet within the organisation, such as diversity targets and there's psychological testing and all these, complying with the legislation, which is all beautiful and good and stuff like that. But we've got our own things as well, making sure that the staff that we get from HR, or we get together with HR, not just meet the HR needs, but specifically meet our needs, which are our customers' needs. Train and educate customers too, customer learning as well. So it's not just training our employees, we train our customers. And you'd be surprised how many customers actually do want to learn about business if you do a lot of business with them. Be efficient first, nice second. Standardised response, because you can be really nice to people, but if you're not efficient, then people just get annoyed, right? So that's a key. That might be surprising to some people, but it is a key concept. Standardised response systems to help your staff in those situations. Develop a pricing policy for guidance. Consider using subcontractors to make increased efficiency, and keep the most valuable stuff, like what your customers value the most, within the organisation. So outsource the more routine stuff. Be proactive, anticipate the market. This is where your environmental scanning stuff comes in. Evaluate performance regularly, the KPIs, acknowledge and affirm good work, which is a cultural thing. Our employees will do what they think that we value the most. So if we say one thing but do something different, then it's not going to resonate. If we keep praising the employees for doing, having good customer service, having good empathy and stuff like that, our staff are going to realise that's what we care about, and then they're naturally going to be inclined to they go, well, that's what we get rewarded for doing, that's what we want to give. Take corrective action and effective action. Alright, so that's it for this week. Well, not for this week, but for this first part of this week's lecture series. I look forward to seeing you in the next one.